I heard the word million token somewhere. Did you guys come across that?
No, no. Oh,
Million tokens,
1 million.
which some model offered a million token. A quiz for you guys. Do you know which model it is?
I've also like seen that even though GPT-5 was like hyped to be a very good coding model, when I use that, I still prefer Claude for Sonnet.
talking about is to have control on like one side, and then like the agent doing it here, where like you can stop it, and then on this side you can do it yourself, and then continue, and it can like do the rest of the task. But I think a lot of the people are thinking a different route where it's just like the agent does everything, but sometimes that's a little bit too dangerous.
Did you guys see that Perplexity released its own video generation?
Good.
Good. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. And happy to see you guys today. So again, that is another action-packed week of a lot of great things going on in the AI world. And I know, Lavneet, you and I pinged offline about this a little bit. So what's cooking there? What are you tracking, Lavneet?
Yeah, I think a lot of things are happening. Like, I think I have been a very much, a Claude user through and through. And I saw some new updates made. Like, I'm not sure if you guys saw that. Now Claude has basically memory feature that ChatGPT had. So it can like, recall from its memory what has happened, that kind of thing.
I see. I mean, Lavneet, is that like there are two types of memory, right? There is a short-term there are three types of memory actually. One is the session memory, the other one is short-term memory and long-term memory. Right, is this in which category? Is it covering all of it, or is it like,
I
generic
think
memory?
like it is like, you can like in a new chat, you can say that, hey Claude, we talked about this. Do
Hmm,
you remember? Or like, can you reference a previous chat? And then it can basically search the chat and get that context.
I
It's in
see.
that kind of thing.
So it's
It's
exactly how ChatGPT used to like have it where you can
correct.
remember from previous chats and keep it with your account. Is it like
Yeah,
that where it keeps it with your account and then where all your chats kind of go into that history and it knows
yeah,
everything?
yeah, yeah.
And I think you can configure too, if I'm not mistaken, how many months or days you want to store that thing in, right?
That I have not known how to do that with God yet.
ChatGPT does it
Mm.
because I've looked at that. But similarly, I think this might, I'm assuming
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's got to have something like that, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys used this memory feature often, or like, what do you think?
No, I haven't used Claude in a little bit because of ChatGPT's new agent, I've been using that heavily, heavily.
Oh,
I haven't really touched Claude in a while. It's been a while since I touched the Claude UI. I've been using ChatGPT agent, and similarly with that, I noticed when you log into a website, let's say it goes to like a Google Doc, you want it to edit something for you in a Google Doc. What it can do is it can log in through your login for Google and go to your Google Doc without having to make the Google Doc public. But what it does is it saves that Google login ID. So each time you go, you can just select it. It doesn't wipe it completely after each session. So if you log in with your work account, that'll stay there. Now, I have a question about the security of that, but it does save your login though. It does save it. Like how I think Google saves it, but it uses the same desktop or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how the architecture is set up, but it does save your login ID each time. That memory feature is kind of there.
But again, I know we have to look at the technical details of this. Typically, they wouldn't store the user ID and password like that. That's like such a bad
hmm,
practice, right? So
yeah.
typically, they would be following something like an OAuth type architecture. So the first
Or
time
a
when you
passkey. I
do,
could see them using like a passkey type thing to store it, maybe because it might be somewhere a little bit more secure than just plainly storing
but
it like plain text.
passing a key or an API key is okay, but the OAuth is much more better mechanism to manage this.
No, I don't think it.
Refresh tokens and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I remember one time when I was using it, it asked, "Oh, this time don't put in your password. Select yes on your iPhone, and here's the number." And then I looked on my actual phone, and it popped up like, "Oh, is this
Oh,
you?" Interesting enough, I don't think it showed me the exact location where, like that remote like desktop was set up. So usually it says like Mac in like California or something like that. But this time it didn't really show that. It just said like, okay, which number it's that, and it was able to select it and
This
let
is
me in.
more like two-factor type authentication kind of thing. Another form
It
factor.
seems to be
yeah.
relying on. If it doesn't
So,
rely on your password, it relies on that. Yeah.
so basically they have like logged in every time, but it's because it's 2 auth like enabled, you get a notification and you have to verify that.
Yeah, it does obviously notify me still every time it logs in. It's like, oh, this computer somewhere is like logging into your account. Is this you or not? But I think it only requests that the first time. After that, it might ask you just for the password, then it like lets you in because it just uses Google's like login page. But
Okay.
Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
interesting.
I've also seen that happening. Like, with my browser also, like whenever you log in for the first time, then it asks for like two-factor authentication. But once you have done that, then it doesn't ask because
Yeah.
like browser already remembers that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I heard the word million tokens somewhere. Did you guys come across that?
No, no. Oh,
Million
One
tokens,
million.
which some model offered a million token. A quiz for you guys. Do you know which model it is
I think that was Claude Force on it, right?
on
oh,
it?
That just gave like 1 million context
Yeah,
window.
so it is a huge context length now, right? One of the use cases that I thought was pretty exciting as soon as I heard that is coding and digesting large code bases and ability to deal with it. Especially from an enterprise context, right? That's what I'm thinking as a great use case for that.
Yeah. I've also like seen that even though GPT-5 was like hyped to be very good coding model, when I use that, I still prefer Claude Force on it without 1 million context length.
yeah, Avneet, interesting you bring that up. Earlier I was having ChatGPT say, code up a HTML ChatGPT chatbot that lets me put in the API key. The UI was great on it. The problem is when I tried to send something after pasting in the API key, it didn't work. It kept on throwing JSON errors in it. And I told it to like fix it. I gave it like screenshots of it and everything, but it kept on making that one error. Whereas Claude was able to like more like easily integrate it and like that was a
Yeah,
little bit
like
better. But the UI was amazing, but the functionality just was not there yet.
Guys,
yeah,
another thing to keep in mind is the moment you go above 200K window, the cost doubles. I don't know if you guys have noticed it. It's a
yeah,
huge
I saw.
cost drag there, right? So you got to be careful about when to use the huge context windows.
Right, so are they using the same Gemini pricing model where it was like below 200,000, there's like this sort of pricing, and then once you reach that threshold, it's like a lot.
Exactly. So you as a developer or an AI ML person needs to know, in my mind, right, 90% of use cases will be good with 200K context window, right?
Although
Yeah.
there's one thing though, Gemini was making like $15 per like million input and like 75 per million output, something crazy like that. OpenAI has made it a lot cheaper though, comparatively to Gemini. Gemini, Claude, they're all still very, very, very expensive comparatively to OpenAI's GPT-5, which has a competitive pricing model.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the downside of we always know, right? Cloud models play in the high priciness area space, right? The cost performance
Yeah,
is always a challenge there. So
but like still like just by using cursor, like I was like expecting GPT-5 to be like very much like next level, like because even cursor was like endorsing it, and everyone was like, okay, yeah, the benchmarks are very good, and they are very very good. But in real life, what happened was I was trying to implement a functionality or something, and it just kept missing like steps. I
mm,
had to go again, and the code was so much garbage. I
mm.
had to read through it again and repurpose the whole thing. It created useless
I
files.
mean, you guys are absolutely right. Claude is the king when it comes to coding. There is no
Yeah.
question about that. We can
I
close
thought that
and go that direction, right?
I started liking GPT, like, O3 model, O3
Also,
model. That
Mm,
was good.
mm.
I don't
But
know if you guys have noticed, but on ChatGPT.com, they now officially like removed every single model that was before 4.0. So now the smallest model you can choose is 4.0, and then after that, it's only 5.5 thinking, 5 auto, 5 main,
mm,
5 mini, 5 nano, all that. But I'm kind of curious who's going to use the mini and nano models. So those are still pretty good at certain tasks that don't require like the big giant model.
Right. I mean, so I can understand why they're getting rid of things because it's just already so confusing on the OpenAI part, all these different variations of models that they had. I'm glad they are trying to filter that down. And again, we all know, right, Karthik, it's not going to be one model that does everything, right? Even though GPT-5 kind of has that flavor where it automatically switches model, as a smart
I
router
mean,
there.
that's what every model provider is going towards. They want that one model that's good at everything, good at coding, good at image generation, good at everything. But that's gonna still a little bit away, not too far away, but a little bit away. But
Yeah, yeah, I mean, if you try to index on trying to improve on one space, it'll throw off on the other space.
yeah,
Like that,
but I'm
that's the
really
correlations
curious,
that happen.
with the good UI that GPT-5 has with coding, if it's a system prompt or if it's actually how they have managed to make it really good at UI selectively. I wonder if it's some sort of system prompt they send whenever you're requesting a canvas or something like that. Because it's a drastic difference from GPT 4.0. I mean, it's still like competing with Claude, but like it's still a little bit better than like Claude in terms of UI. In certain times, it's better in like predicting what you would want for that UI, even if you don't explicitly say, I want like this set of things.
Yeah, but, when it comes to UI, right, my personal favorite is not for the models themselves to create the UI, right? It's mostly like there are designers who are very good at using tools like Figma that are really meant for that. They can express yourself a lot better and then use some sort of an MCP, model context protocol mechanism to bring that code back in there, right? That's much more powerful
Yeah.
way, in my opinion, for UI.
Also, another thing is that like let's say you're like a one person, you want to build like a product like Windsurf or something like that. No UX experience, don't have a lot of money to hire somebody for it, and you just want like a basic UI that works for
Ah, yeah.
it. Then
Mhm.
it's good because you can bounce off of it. It might give you like a really weird UI, but it kind of works, and you can bounce off of that and make it a lot better versus starting at like something really rudimentary and then going from
You guys
there.
know there was a model that was like released on Open Router. It was called Horizon model.
Mm.
It was a LLM based model.
Like being compared to this new like GPT-5. I haven't been seeing comparisons of those two, but I haven't
Yeah,
tried
like
the model.
so what
What does it
like so
do?
now it is removed from there.
Why? Why?
So I don't know what they are doing, but when people saw it, the model created UI that was far better than any other model, including Claude for Sonnet, even GPT or any other model. In
Was this
just the
model
front end,
before GPT-5? Was it like
yeah,
released on? So
yeah,
is there a
before
chance
the
that was GPT-5
yeah,
before
that can't,
release?
I don't know. But like what people have done is that people have done a bit of test in which they ran the same prompt through that Horizon model and then they ran it from GPT-5 also. The results were not the same.
I see. Lovely, this Horizon model, was it based off of any open source model or what was it
No
based
idea.
on?
It was like totally blank. They didn't provide any information at all.
It was like they trained that model from scratch, you're saying? It's not built on any, fine-tuned on any other model, just like from scratch.
Like, have you seen like sometimes these like these companies, OpenAI and all these big companies do, they release their models under some other name. So,
Yeah,
people
a lot of
can
people are
see it,
suspecting
they can
this was
give feedback.
GPT-5 before the release. They're all suspecting that
Yeah,
GPT-5, that's what they put it out there a little bit
yeah,
before release, but that's what GPT-5 was then. That's what people are
yeah,
thinking it is. That's what
yeah.
Horizon was.
Like we don't know like if some big company has created this model or there is a new player in the
Do you know
market.
how many parameters it was, that model?
Uh, yeah, I think so. I think it was let me
If it
see.
is trillions of parameters, there's a big company behind it. It's very easy.
Yeah,
I don't
if it's
think
something very
so.
small, like how a billion
It
parameters, then you know it's not like that good. It probably would be.
it had 256K context length.
Huh?
It had 256K context length, but
They,
no, I
they
don't think they have much information
They are smart,
regarding.
right? They wouldn't if they publish that,
Yeah,
it give you a clue of who may be behind it. So they don't know,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
But the quality of like I've seen online how people shared the UI that they created. It was night and day.
Oh wow.
Like uh, I think there was like some person who shared the UI of a image of a designer tool or something,
Hmm.
and they compared the UI created by the Horizon model, the GPT-5 and Claude 4. The difference was the best model for creating the UI and the front end code was the Horizon model.
I see.
And now they have removed that from open router. It's nowhere to be found. It's like I don't know like who did that and why they
Wow.
did that.
Okay, so you're saying in the future we don't need designers with Figma and all of that running around
No,
like.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. It's just that the front end was very good. At least for the base level, it was very good.
Gotcha. Okay, good. What other interesting things are going on in our world?
Did you guys see that Perplexity released its own video generation?
No,
I can see Perplexity's video generation.
no.
Yeah,
When?
I think it's like 2 or 3 days ago, or maybe more. I'm not sure, but they recently released it, their own
Perplexity
video
is killing it,
generation.
man. Perplexity is all over the place.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean they even did you guys hear the news that they offered to buy Google Chrome?
yes, I think that's a gimmick.
Yeah.
People were saying they're just like trying to pull their leg, right?
Yeah, really. I mean they I mean they are doing something because like their own value is close to 18 billion or something at
Yeah,
this point, and they were offering 36 billion or
come
something
on.
for the Google
That
Chrome.
doesn't make any sense at all. I don't know. I don't know about that, but they also opened up their Comet AI browser to the pro users.
Hmm.
I don't know if any of you guys
Yeah,
are
Pro
pro.
users. For free users, you
I've
still
seen that.
have a giant wait list that's still there.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
haven't
I've
even.
also signed up for that wait list.
I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know. Have you guys heard about the Comet browser and what it is capable
yeah,
of? What
Yeah,
is
yeah.
it? What is it?
It, I've just like heard that it's like how Google basically demoed their one of their products that they were thinking about, where it's like basically agentic browser. You
Hmm.
just tell it things to do and it does that.
but I feel
I
like a
think
lot of
that's
people
what.
are doing that now. Like even a company called the Browser Company was creating a browser called like Dia or something like that, and it was supposed to be a
Mm-hmm.
agentic browser that could browse for you. It seems like the same idea is being like replicated over. I don't know. That
But
seems like
I
the same
think the
thing.
value is also there, right? Because if a company can actually create that, there are so many mundane tasks that people actually do. If they can like tell the AI agent to do that particular task,
But
that
doesn't that
would be a
sort
game
of
changer.
already exist with like GPT agent? The ability to like do stuff for you on the web.
Karthik, there's a difference. The agent can talk to an API, can talk to a system, can talk to all of that. This
Uh,
one is specifically accessing the browser for applications where you don't have an API, like
no, no,
making what you want.
no. What the GPT agent does is it spins up a virtual desktop and then works on top of that layer. Because
Hmm?
every time you start an agent, it'll say setting up my desktop is the first thing that pops up there. Then it will open up a little preview where you can see it like going to Google and like searching it up. But
Mm.
yeah,
I think there is a like a the difference in how we interact with this service, because what that thing does is that agent, that is like you don't get full control when you are interacting with it, right? But I think with this Comet is because this no, I mean like you can't stop it like when it is doing something wrong and then just tell it, okay, no, do this. That's what I'm thinking, because only then it makes
you
sense
can
to have a.
interrupt. You can interrupt. You can't. Well, that's one thing though. You can't like for you can tell it like you can interrupt it and you can also take control. But I don't know if they can do exactly what you're talking about, but you can
Yeah,
definitely interrupt it and say, no, don't do that, go here. And it'll listen to that and then restart it again. But I also noticed that each time you do that, that counts as an agent request. I think that counts as an agent request each time you do
yeah.
it, which means that 40 requests you get in the month whittles down a lot the more you use it in one
I think, yeah,
go.
I think that should be the main differentiator in the interface, because I think that itself gives you a lot more value. Because if you can, like, stop it, like, how we are using Cursor or these ID AI or chatbots, these AI services, if that thing can be replicated in the browser that we are running locally, that would make it.
Here is my thought around that, right? See, what is it doing? It's trying to make my life easy as a consumer. I have a trip planned, let's say to go to France, right? I just say, here is the trip, here is how much I can pay, pay for the trip or whatnot. You go plan, you go book, and I'm off doing something fun on the beach while this guy is
Hmm.
going and gouging websites and figuring out all of this stuff. See, I want it to be as autonomous as possible without me getting involved. That's the whole reason why I'm going this route. But I do want it to check with me on, I'm about to pay this, I'm about to get a credit
That's
card, I'm okay
something
with
that
it, all of that.
that's something that ChatGPT is like forced, like hard coded almost to do. Anytime you click a confirmation button, it's like forced to say, okay, do you want to do this? 'Cause it's never. I think they like put on guardrails where it's never allowed to click any sort of confirmation button without a human interaction there.
That's right. And that is the
But
interaction we're talking about, right? And
but no, but I think there is a a range of like flow, how much you want to give the control and how much you want the control.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
that
we
is
just see
always
that
flowing,
gives
you know,
the
because
yeah.
there are tasks where you actually want to be free, like I'm on a vacation, yeah. And there are tasks where you want to be like, no,
And,
I
Lalit, as far as you as a user have the ability to control
yeah,
the task,
yeah,
I don't know if it works like that now.
yeah,
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 because imagine if somebody's gonna like give payroll or something like that, and maybe it's kind of a mundane task, but you don't want it to go off the rails and
yeah,
give somebody a giant paycheck and not pay somebody else or something like that. So you want to be very careful with that, but you also don't want to be the
yeah.
person typing in each one and like
Yeah,
verifying and doing
I
all that.
think
But you need to
that
say
is
enough.
like the main functionality. If they can nail down this like range that user can select how much control they want to give. Because I think now IDEs like all the IDEs are almost there. Because if you want to edit everything yourself, do that. If you want to send something to background agent, do that. You
that's
can
what
control how much you want.
'Cause I
Hmm?
think Comet was going for like a you have to use like the complete agentic like you
Oh,
I think that's like their approach is just like you go on there, it's like a text box, you type in do this, then do this, and then you set it off. That I think that's like the way they're going
oh,
versus another browser is going the route of like you have control on this side. I think what you're talking about is to have control on like one side and then like the agent doing it here where like you can stop it and then on this side you can do it yourself and then continue and it can like do the rest of the task. But I think a lot of the people are thinking in a different route where it's just like the agent does everything, but sometimes that's a little bit too dangerous to give it that
yeah.
much
Yeah, I
autonomy.
mean, if they are not going into this, this fluid control way, I think then that might be because I think there are a spectrum of people. Like there are people who just want to, they would give the control, and there are people who want to
Yeah, there's some
have the
people who don't
control.
want to
I
do
mean, that
anything hands on.
where the real benefit dollar amount is involved in this whole thing is within enterprises. If you take
Yeah,
heavily document oriented industries, like I worked in banking quite a bit, I worked in insurance quite a bit, healthcare, these are all industries that are really prone for a lot of document
Mm.
pushing buttons. And the same thing, the guy comes in the morning, he will do 100,000 documents from morning to evening doing the
Also,
exact same button.
another industry that has heavy documentation is the healthcare industry. Filling out patient forms, that's what doctors do 99% of the time. If an agent can do that, well, like that frees up a lot more time to actually, take care of the patient, do all that stuff. So,
I mean, if it is completely deterministic flow, you can have other technologies, right? Like Puppeteer and things like that, where you can program it. But the challenge comes depending on the variation of the document, a few things need to be done different. Then agents becomes very important, right? That's the key differentiator, whether you need agentic kind of workflows or more deterministic type solutions. Because the
mm,
cost makes a big difference between both of them, right?
yeah,
So we, as designers and architects, have to think about that. Hey, what type of problem are we dealing with? And then choose the appropriate ones. But nevertheless, we have the rich set of tools now in front of us, looks like.
yeah. And I was like again working on a project creating an agent, and I've seen that technology exists there. Technology is there. It can do a lot of stuff, but there is like a lot of stuff that needs to be built. Like I don't think that even today we have all the applications that are, taking full benefit of
No,
AI's capability.
not at all. We are scratching the surface.
but
Yeah,
love you. I have a quick question though. Is Comet built on Chromium though? Because
I think so.
99% of
It
browsers
is.
are built on Chromium
I
because
think so.
It is.
Chromium built the big search engine that costs millions of dollars to
Yeah,
build. So every single browser, no matter even if it's a new agentic browser, will use
yeah,
Chromium but there's
yeah.
certain dis like downsides to that with efficiency and everything. there's a lot of
Yeah,
downsides to using Chromium because it eats up a lot of memory and you can't really, there's a lot of
yeah.
limitations. So I'm kind of curious why I mean,
But
they
I
obviously
think
aren't big enough to create,
the I think have you seen like past few years they have been like all these new browsers like Arc browser
but they're all
and
again
Chrome
Chromium
browser.
based.
They are all just layers on top of Chromium. That's
Chromium.
all.
They're all Chromium.
How
Every
they are. I
even
mean they
Edge
are
is now Chromium. Safari is the
yeah.
one that's like a little bit holding out. Is a different one. Safari is like off to the side. That's why like whenever something doesn't
Who's
work on
using
Chrome,
Safari? Who's using Safari? Come on, guys. Okay, let's not talk about
Safari is using
But
Google, but they're not using
have
Chromium. That's
you
the
uh,
difference.
do you guys know about the project Ladybird? I
I
think I
have
have
heard of it
mentioned that.
before. I've I tried to get it on a computer, tried a little bit, didn't
Yeah.
work,
It's
never.
it's still in development, but they are the ones who are actually trying to build a new browser engine, which is
Yeah, I
not based on
noticed
Chromium.
a new like thing based like
Yeah,
completely not with Chromium, like on the other
yeah.
side.
And I think they are doing it just with donations. No big company or like big foundation
Because I think
backing them
Firefox
up.
is building like something. They already have like something like that, but it's not really
Yeah.
really
I mean, I
really.
think Firefox has
if,
its own
if
engines.
I'm one of those guys building it, I'm sure I'm looking at it from ground up. No more humans only will come to do this stuff. Concept is gone, right? So I'm going to be dealing with the 80% of website, our website access will be agents. 80% in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I think I also heard the Twitter ex-CEO, he is also building,
Prag Agarwal,
yeah,
Prag Agarwal,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
He's also building a company which like I've just started with this one line that about internet for agents.
Yep. I agree. I agree. That's the future, right? Agents talking to each other, negotiating things. This agent
But
accessing something, this agent accessing
I have a
something.
question. It brings up another question though. If it's agent to agent, is that UI UX layer that's in between the website and the user? What will happen to that in the future if it's just agent to agent? There's no real need for a UI per se if there's like
But
people
I
talking to
think
other.
it's like, it's like dividing the world into two parts. Like, I mean, it's even present today also. Even when we have like systems have to call other services, they use APIs, right? But when humans have to like, go and search, we have a UI. I think that is the same thing.
Karthik, that's where this agent to agent communication protocol, remember the one that Google has been spearheading, right?
But if
API
somebody's building a
protocol.
browser that's based solely on that and without like human interaction, then we kind of there still needs to be an area where like we're able to
Yeah,
take over and like
but
manually do
but
everything
the
and then set it off.
but the question is, if they are building a browser just for agents, do they not they know that there exist APIs? Like, isn't that basically just like, I mean,
But
that's a
guys,
question.
let's think about that for a second.
Mhm.
There are tons and tons of websites in the world already. Big companies are all got websites, right? So all the solution that we are talking about is solving that problem because those companies are not going to run around and blow off their websites and build APIs, right? They just can't. It's so hard for them to do. So
Mhm.
that is bulk of what's there right now. But if I were
Yeah.
to build a futuristic company now, right, I would definitely have an API as a key mechanism and enable it in such a way it's easy to be discovered. I would do MCP tools. That is the direction that I would be going in. But here we still have trillions of websites that are out there that needs to be accessed. So there is room for both. That's how we should look at it.
Oh,
You see that,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're thinking right, Ravneet, right? Like so if I were to start a new company, that wouldn't be the case. I mean, I may have a website for people who do want a website, but I would have MCP tools, agentic tools, registered in right places to be discovered and used and everything. That's how I would do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Key difference. Cool. So I know. So that's pretty interesting topics. And have any of you played with Kiro, one of my favorite tools?
Wait, I did play around with it a little bit. Here, let me share my screen and you can take a look at it.
Oh yeah, okay. You got something going there with Kiro. What did
Okay.
you do, Karthik, with the Kiro?
So actually that I was building earlier, an iOS app. It doesn't really matter which app it was, but an iOS app. So basically here I was just before I was doing like a budgeting app that I was trying to make. I switched over to another one, but basically what happened is that I was trying to like fix the app because certain things were breaking and it wasn't, and the build was failing. So Kira went through all of this, and it was asking me like, "Oh, do you trust, accept, trust, all that stuff," and then following it. And then I gave it like the root access to just do Xcode build since I don't want to keep on selecting trust, trust, trust for that. And it ended up coming down here and saying, okay, the build has passed. I haven't tested, keep in mind, I haven't tested this code yet through actual Xcode, but according to Kiro, the build has succeeded in a iOS simulator for iPhone 16 with the ARM64, and there's no warnings or errors. So I'm kind of curious to spin it up and see did the app actually get fixed. 'Cause if I remember right, there was some problem with the API key because certain of the AIs wouldn't like put in the API key there because of security issues, because anybody could look in the code and get the API key right there. But that's the problem that was there before. But that's kind of curious if it actually fixed everything. I haven't tested it out yet though.
I see, but looks like you're still in a preliminary. I don't think you have played with specs or hooks or steering
No,
documents.
no, this was on Vibe. This was on the Vibe mode. This
Or
was
the
on
right
Vibe
mode.
mode. This was
I
on the Vibe mode, not the spec mode, because I did not have already the spec to like, oh, this is exactly what I want, and this, and then this. I just wanted to check out what the Vibe mode would be like, so I decided to go into the Vibe mode, and this was all done through like the Vibe mode, and
what does your app do? The one that you're trying to build here.
so it was like a IDing app. That's sort of what it was, but
I see.
anyways, yeah. But in when I was using Kiro, it just kept on asking, "Oh, do you trust me? Do you want to like do this base one or like the complete command?" So it does give you that control whether you want just like for that one time allow it just for that one single command, or like the root command, which gives it access anytime it wants to
Uh,
do
you,
anything.
Karthik, I have dealt with Kiro quite a bit now. I never trust it at all, right? Even though I love the tool, I always, even though it's sometimes looks like a pain in the neck to give permission every time, but I want to know what the hell that guy is doing, right? The other thing that I noticed, guys, with Kiro is, let's say it's trying to figure out something. I was trying to play with Strands API and Bedrock agents and all of that stuff, right? So it said, oh, I'm having trouble installing Strands. So let me figure out a way to not use Strands at all and go somewhere else. I'm like, no, 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 dude, that's not what I want you to do. Just don't avoid the problem. Fix the, you know what I mean, right? It doesn't fix the problem. It tries to say, I'm going to abandon this and go some other route, right? So we got to be careful about that's one of those cases like, come on, come on, come on. I want to get involved. I don't want you to do that, right? So, but it's a
Yeah.
great tool though. So far, from a spec development standpoint, it's really very methodical in the way it's walking me through, and there's a lot of control that we have individually to update, right, as it goes along to get to the finish line. So I'm glad you liked it. I hope next time when we meet we can actually see the working prototype, some sort of stuff.
Yeah, I was also working on like a budgeting app, and I was trying to get that to work in Kiro as well, because that one it was like a really rudimentary stage, like kind of worked, kind of didn't. So I was gonna get Claude to generate the prompt for it, and then put it into Kiro, because I'm kind of curious if Claude can generate like the spec prompt for it, and I can put it into Kiro, and then it can plan it further, and then at the end bring it to like the stage where I actually want it. I'm kind of curious if you can use all of them to get to this area where you want.
I remember Lavneet sending to me the Kiro prompt. Somebody has and it has prompt for all the three, right? And it is pretty good. So you could take that prompt and put it into Claude, and I'm sure Claude will do a good job of even elaborating all the.
Yeah, yeah, I think that would be a very good strategy actually.
So technically, we can use many tools, right? So these are all different ways to to interact. Your code base is the same in GitHub, right? You can work through Kiro, you can work through Cloud Code, you can work through Cursor.
Claude Code will be like the most premium version of all of those, because Claude Code, depending on where you access it, will be expensive. If you access it through like the root, like Claude Code using Claude.ai, then it will be really, really expensive. But if you access it through like QChat or something like that, then it might not be as.
And most of even the Kiro is using only Claude models at the end of the day, right? It's 3.7, 4. So Claude heavy is used in no matter whichever route you take,
Because
right?
it has the best coding. Like definitively, it has the best coding.
Exactly, exactly. Great. Okay, good, awesome. So I think it's like another very all exciting topics here. So I'm looking forward to next week's events and major updates as well. So anything
Yeah,
else? Final thoughts from you guys?
not really. That's we talked about pretty much everything from this week.
Awesome, guys. I always look forward to our weekend communication on this. So
Sure.
looking forward to our
Better
next
call.
discussion
Yeah.
as well. Take care.
All right. Yeah. Take
And
care.